And I got a call from some people, and they was like, "Man, we're never ever. If you say this out loud, we're gonna deny it. If you bring your kids to ABCD camp, you'll walk out of New Jersey with $1 million in cash."
All right, welcome to another episode of Throwbacks. Don't forget to go give us a like, a follow, subscribe on YouTube. It's free, so don't be afraid to hit that button. Matty Ice, how we doing today? You got a tremendous week going on.
I'm living it. I'm living every husband father's dream.
You're
right
Macaulay
now. I'm solo.
Culkin.
Oh yeah, I'm home alone, dude. I've been home alone since Saturday night. Yeah, it's glorious. I miss my kids. I miss my wife. They're in Orlando for Thanksgiving week, big family reunion, doing it right. Obviously, I can't go because I have work and all these things. But man, it's like, I'm not sure there's anything better, dude. I'm not sure there's anything better than a house that is silent.
I think that's the one thing I would ask for
I hope my wife
birthday or Christmas would be, well, it's not so much that like you're doing it's just, you're right. It's the silence. It's the peace and quiet.
It's just peace and quiet, dude. I mean, it's just literally waking up. And by the way, every morning, I haven't slept in. Like, I don't sleep in anymore, so that's fine. But it's just waking up, making my coffee. I'm not in a rush to do anything, to get the kids going. Obviously, Josie does a lot, but I like mornings are chaotic, as you know. Like, you got two boys. Like, it's just chaotic. There's a lot going on. There's like, we got a time to brush your teeth. We got to take, like, there's no rest. That is the greatest part. Like, I've worked out multiple times a day. I've saunaed it up multiple times a day.
You mentioned Orlando, and you sent chills through my spine because I just got back from Disney
recovering.
World. And
well,
I need what you have. I need like 6 days alone to recover.
Well, what you did is just dad of the year stuff. I mean, it's just legendary stuff to go to Walt Disney World for a week.
Well, I posted that picture of me napping at the bippity boppity thing where they made my kids into knights or whatever, and the girls get. And I put it out, and it got a lot of views to the point where, like, the next day at one of the parks, I had dads coming up to me going, "Keep it going, man!" Like, they were cheering me on, like Rocky training in Philadelphia.
That was one of the funniest posts I've ever seen. I was like, "Oh, dude, Jerry is in bad right now."
And that wasn't a setup. I was sound asleep. Might have even been snoring. I was out cold.
Yeah, I mean, good for you. Hey, listen. Also, big week. We just celebrated your birthday.
Yeah, I just turned 46.
You were on the back half to 50, bro.
It's one of those things, too. Like, do you know how I know I'm old? Do you know when you go book a flight and you got to scroll down to the year you were born? I used to be like 2 scrolls. Maybe 2.5. Now I'm like scroll.
You just scroll. Go one big one and it just rolls.
Oh my God, I'm still not at 1979 yet. This is crazy. That's how I know I'm old.
You're a 70s, dude.
November 79. So I saw the last month and a half of the 70s. So I guess technically.
Man, listen, you don't look a day over 40. You got a great family. You live a young life. You golf. It's good, bro. You're living the dream. You're living the dream.
Well,
happy birthday, buddy.
I appreciate that. We have an interesting show for you now because speaking of,
we do.
46 years old, grew up in the 80s, and then obviously the 90s where I really started like watching and loving sports, all sports, and playing sports. You a little bit younger, but similar. We have someone that in the 90s, early 2000s is, I guess you would say he's self-proclaimed, but I think we could all proclaim him the godfather of AAU, Myron Piggie.
Yeah.
What does that name mean to you, Matt? Have you ever heard that name before we're having him on the show today?
I heard the name. The answer is yes. Could I tell you a detailed, version of like who he was? No. I've been around the AAU game enough playing when I was younger with like the Pump Brothers, who everyone knows, and Pat Barrett, who's a local, who's a legend in the AAU game back in the day. And then obviously with Cole and just that experience. But really fascinating story about Myron Piggie, who ended up going to jail for this. Kind of changed the game, and his upbringing was crazy. I'm excited for
Kansas City.
Yeah. I'm excited for people to hear this story. He's got a book out, that we're going to talk about. And now with like NIL and athletes being able to get paid for all of these things. It's just a fascinating, like, back then to now, and the shift and all of this. And he was really, like you said, like the godfather of AAU basketball and helping kids and all this. And I'm excited to kind of hear his story,
Yeah, the name of the book is The Hustler That Changed the Game. Myron Piggie co-wrote it. And look, I remember coming up in New York. I mean, AAU basketball in New York City is one of the meccas. I mean, I'm sure even LA too obviously has had unbelievable players. Everyone from Stephon Marbury, Kenny Anderson, like all these guys, like the Gauchos were really the team in New York. I think they're still going on. They were essentially high school NBA teams.
Yeah.
So to hear Myron's story, and also like you mentioned something interesting, I want to respectfully ask him. It's like you kind of went to jail for a lot of things that are now very, very legal.
Yeah.
And that's got to be a frustrating thing because and when you even start to see some of the numbers reportedly that, and we'll ask him about this, like he famously had the Rush brothers, Kareem Rush, Jerron Rush. Some of the numbers that these guys were paid, air quotes, I don't think he ever fully said, $2,700, $200, $1,200, and somehow he got connected to wire fraud, mail fraud. We're gonna actually ask him what he officially went away for because it's kind of murky. I think it was one thing to get out of another, but anyway, excited to talk to him. I mean, his story, they'll probably make his story into a movie one day. I'm like
It'll
about
be a doc
halfway
or a
through the
movie
book
for sure. Yeah.
So I don't want to get too many spoilers for him, but the book is outstanding. It's definitely one of those things that might be turned into a movie or a doc, like you said. And yeah, I'm excited. So don't forget to, right after Myron, we have Annie Agar joining us. We'll do some more Twisted trivia. Maybe Matt will go easy on me for my birthday week because he's been you know what the kids say? I've heard like several like 18-year-old athletes say, no, 6'7", but like belt to ass.
Oh, belt
like,
to ass is a new one. Yeah.
My nephew hit me with that with Madden. We're going to play Madden. And he sent me a belt emoji. I'm like, what? Belt to ass. I'm like,
I've seen. Yeah, that's not necessarily like a new one, but it is.
No, but
I
the way
have
they
seen
specifically
more
say
people say, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully you won't go belt
brother.
to ass on me.
I'll keep it easy on you.
All right. And before we bring on Myron Piggie, because this is related to his story, let's do our Wendy's. It's not the fresh take of the week anymore. We switched it up. It's basically we're joining Team Tendies and we're joining a lineup like never before. Crispy, juicy Tendies now at Wendy's. So thank you for sponsoring this segment. Matt, it got me thinking since we have Myron Piggie on AA basketball, high school sports. You've played at every single level, some of the highest levels. Me, not so much, but I've seen a lot. Who is the best, whether it's AAU or just high school in general, the best high school AAU athlete you have ever seen?
Well, I'm going to give you two answers. One, I'm just going to shout out Koa Pete, starting freshman for Arizona. He played with Cole's team a couple years back in middle school, AEBC, made hoops, the whole deal. Then I was like, this dude is going to be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft, and he's certainly going to do that. So seeing him in person play with my son was awesome. The greatest high school basketball player that I ever saw in person was Shea Cotton. Shea Cotton was a 6'5" lefty. I saw him play as a freshman. He was the same year as my brother. So those 5 years. So he was, 16 years old. I was 10 or 11. My brother played basketball. This was Mater Dei when Mater Dei was a powerhouse. They won national championship with Miles Simon. They won with Reggie Geary. Those teams, they won a couple of championships in the 90s. This kid was a freshman starting on Mater Dei, averaging like 25 a game, which was unheard of. Mater Dei was like Duke, right? Like everyone averaged 12 points. And no one ever, like, you know what I mean? There were so many good players. I mean, the stroke, he would take off from like mid-key, dunk on people. He was the greatest. And I would just finish this by saying, I think there's pods out there where like Paul Pierce and all the local, like Paul Pierce went to Inglewood, like Tyson Chandler, all of the local kind of LA legends would say the same thing. They're like, bro, Shea Cotton was just different. He was a beast. And I think he ended up going I think he transferred out of Mater Dei, ended up going to like Long Beach State to play with his brother for a period of time, and just never made it. And it was one of those things like, man, like he was one of the greatest athletes I'd ever seen in person.
Well, that's something you always talk about that stays with me is, all these guys are great. And then you look at a guy like Shea Cotton, who at the time you'd think this guy's a shoo-in for the NBA.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't happen, and it's not for a lack of talent. You cannot say Shea
There's
Cotton
so
did
many
not
other
have the
factors.
talent.
Yeah.
So many other factors, and that's going to kind of coincide with mine, because my honorable mention, I saw him in high school, not AAU, and I got a close look at him because our school was rivals. We're rivals with Stephon Marbury, and it was just so clear that this guy is way better. And my school was really good, and his school was really good. He was significantly the best player on the court. Similar to like LeBron's, right? They had to start putting Marbury's games at MSG. That's how many people were trying to come see his games. They moved him to freaking Madison Square Garden. But my number one, the best player I've ever seen, and I saw him on the AAU side, did not see his high school games, Felipe Lopez. And youngsters out there, if you don't know who Felipe Lopez is, go do a little Google, YouTube deep dive. So I went to a Gauchos famous AAU team that I'm sure Myron Piggie knows well about. I went to a Gauchos practice one time. I was a little younger. And they laid out like, I think 20 balls in different spots all over the court, like the elbow, the three-point line, the corner, and they were doing this drill, and Felipe Lopez was running up and back, grabbing each ball, shooting it. And the dude went 20 for 20. He hit every shot of every ball that was placed on that court. And he, local story, Dominican kid from New York. So
he went to St. John's, right?
Then he went on he played at Rice University. He went to St. John's. He stayed home essentially, Bronx, Queens. He stayed home, good St. John's career, his game didn't translate to college, and he got drafted. He played in the NBA for quite a while, but he was up there with LeBron in the sense of a high school athlete at that time.
So out there too, like Sebastian Telfair was the other one, right? New York kid.
Marbury's cousin. Cousin.
I'll tell you what, I had a conversation with Luke Walton once, who was, on our pod last year and a good friend. And I remember playing him in the rec league, like a really competitive rec league, and he was getting 30 a game. It wasn't even close. And like playing against like a couple Drew League players.
Right.
And he goes, Matt, the difference between he said the NBA, and it's like football too, it's hard, but like the talent only gets you so far, man. It's like the mental part, it's the grind, it's all the other little things that you have to do. Because I'm sitting there watching this kid, I'm like, God, this kid is good. And he's like, yeah, dude. But he's like, there's a million of those kids. They just won't make it because they don't have the mental, that they can't, like there's just something missing, and you see that. It's unfortunate. But I was like, damn, dude, like basketball's got to be another level.
Well, shout outs to Wendy's. We were officially on Team Tendies. And let's
Shea Cotton, man.
Shea Cotton.
I hope he sees this. I want to know what Shea Cotton's doing now.
I wonder if Myron Piggie must know of Shea Cotton.
I'm going to ask. I'll ask him. I guarantee that's the 90s. Shea was the man on the circuit.
Let's bring on the godfather of AAU.
Hey, we're happy to do this, man, and just shoot the shit, tell your story, anything you want to get it, just go and yeah, man, we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
No, I'm open book, man. I'm open book.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm open book. I just, it's just a blessing, to be able to really kind of, get this story out. We very, very pleased to be on your show, and I mean, when we came along, it was New York Riverside had the best powerhouse team at that time, and that was Ronnie Artest, Elton Brand, Lamar Odom, Jesse, and them boys was monsters, man. And they just we brought them in Kansas City for a tournament, and them dudes smashed us by 50.
And your team was no joke, I'm guessing.
No, but our team was younger, but they still wasn't no joke. But they smashed us on our home court by 50. And when they smashed us by 50, that's when I had to regroup, man. I'm like, man, I got to go out here and recruit some players to play against these big boys. And that's what we did. That's when I started going out recruiting. But New York Riverside was the powerhouse then.
205 in 3 years. Was that your record?
205.
Yeah. Dang.
And one of those 5 is the Artest game, I'm guessing?
Yes, that was the first whooping we got.
So, all right. So you get beat down by Artest, and then you're going to start recruiting. That's why I want to ask. I'm halfway through the book, obviously, but I know a lot of the story because I knew about it before the book, and the book is unbelievable. Congrats to both of you, and we're going to talk about it. But When you make that decision, okay, I'm gonna go start recruiting. Now, there's no social media, there's no YouTube, there's none. You can't just sit in your home and scroll through. You have to get out and like, how are you finding players? Obviously, there's word of mouth, but you got to go beat Artest and Elton Brand. You got to widen the search a little bit.
Yeah, well, what we did was it was a little internet, and like back then, you had guys that had they had them what you call them the recruiting services.
Yeah.
So you go on the recruiting service and see who was the top players.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did was we had an unlimited budget. So we would go up there, and if I needed a big man, what I would do is I would go out here and see who the top big man in the country. So what I do is I'll fly out there and see if they was available. If they was available, I would bring them in for practice over the weekend, and then I would test them in the tournament. And if they wasn't good in that tournament, then we would just, no, we can't do this.
So that's like the tryout, essentially.
Yeah, it was like a tryout because playing against them boys was, man, it was crazy. But one thing I have to say, was able to put a team together, and we played New York Riverside 2 weeks later in University in Washington, D.C., and we ended up beating them by 7. So we turned that thing around real quick.
That's real quick to go from losing by 50 to winning by 7.
Yeah. I went out and got some players, man.
I'd be curious, Myron, of then, that time in your life as AAU, the Godfather, and putting these teams together. And we were just talking before this, like I've experienced that with my oldest son, Cole. He's going to be at SMU next year playing football, but he was a big hooper, like did all the circuits that you were a part of and all that. And I used to see kids, like the recruiting process. I used to see kids like play for one team and go play for another team in the same tournament and go play for a third team in the same tournament. I'm like, what the shit is going on? Like, this is wild. What was the biggest difference? Because I'm sure you still follow the AU and you still know a lot of these kids. Like, what was the biggest difference back then as opposed to now, you think?
Well, back then it was different because it wasn't no Nike teams playing in Nike tournaments, Adidas teams playing in Adidas tournament, Reebok teams playing Reebok tournament. It was that everybody played everybody. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the difference was too where it wasn't no parents involved a lot.
Interesting.
So where it's parents now involved because parents are paying kids to train their kids.
Yep.
So now they're spending money. So now parents got a mouthpiece. Back then, parents parents were not paying to be in that space. So, like, I never had parents come in my gym. I would have my parents to drop my kids off,
which is how it should be. Yeah.
And if you ever came to me about playing time, then you take your kids and go somewhere else.
Right.
It was about putting a system together, and the kids learn how to play basketball. Then now kids is looking at when the kids ain't playing, the parents go in there and talk to the coaches. The system is a whole different system now. And when I travel, my parents didn't travel with me. We travel, they put their kids in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was my responsibility to teach them kids as young men how to try to get them to be men. But the whole system today is Nike's playing Nike,
mm-hmm.
Adidas playing Adidas, Reebok's playing Reebok. I don't even know if it's Reebok now, but the parents got to say so now. Where back then, that's what made the kids tougher and stronger when the parents wasn't involved. And I'm not knocking the parents.
You can, because I'm one of those, and I tell them, I said, dude, I love, like, I wish we had more of you in today's world because it's such a different thing, and I want to, like, your story is remarkable because I've been in that world, I've just seen a lot of stuff, and you talked about the kids, and you obviously left such a positive imprint on all of the kids that came across your program because there's quotes out there, all these players saying like what you were able to do for them. this book, The Hustler That Changed the Game, and your experience, and we're going to dive into the story. Why for you is it important to kind of get this out now and tell this story? Like, what do you want to accomplish telling this story, Myron?
Well, what I wanted to accomplish was, in this story was that back then when I was involved in AAU, it was different because we used to travel and be in 5-star hotels. I mean, we traveled, we had the best of everything. But when the kids came home, them kids went back to the ghetto, to the hood. Them kids didn't have gas in their houses. They didn't have lights on. They didn't even have food to eat. You know what I'm saying? So my job was, I'm not going to put you out there and you're going to travel and you're going to live big for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then you come back home. Then you got to get up there and you don't know if your next meal. I couldn't do that. So that was my job as a coach. And I basically was kind of like a dad to make sure when they went home, they was able to have lights, gas, and food. And it wasn't about paying kids. It was just about just helping kids that wasn't able to go home. Like me and my son, when we left, I go home, I got everything. They didn't have nothing. So it was important for me to get the story out where they was like, oh, he was paying kids to play basketball. No, I wasn't paying kids to play basketball. I was just trying to help kids to get out of the hood because I used to dominate the hood. And I knew what the hood was. And a lot of them kids wasn't built to be in the hood because they couldn't survive it.
Also, too, I imagine, like, I guess the question is too, like, so where were you at when you kind of made that decision? You talked about like you lose to Artest and all that, but you were already in the AAU space. Where were you at when you made that switch in your life into AAU basketball? What was that turning point for you?
But, I'll just be honest with you, I really never made a full switch. I was still dipping and diving in the streets.
Right.
But I had a son. My son was in that area with Jerron Rush and Corleone Young and Corey Maggette and Mike Miller. So what I was doing was that AAU team was really dropped in my lap because I was a parent and I went to a game and the guy who used to coach him, the sponsor fell out with him. So we didn't have a coach. And then the parent was like, well, let Myron coach. And then when it got dropped in my lap, I was gonna put my program, like my demeanor on the streets. If I'm a top on the streets, I gotta be top in this field too. So that's how I was thinking, So yeah.
No, I was saying, you mentioned earlier, you talk about Nike plays Nike, Reebok plays Reebok. Yeah. Something that's in the book and you talk about a little bit is you yourself found yourself being courted at one point, right? By Nike and Adidas and getting pitched. And, I know there's mentions of like Sonny Vaccaro and all that. I'm fascinated with that era because I don't think we'll really ever see it like that again. Tell us a little bit about that time in your life where you have all these shoe companies wanting to be involved. And I think you said publicly you regret signing with Nike over Sonny Vaccaro. Is that true? Did I get that right?
That's a true story. When I took over, it was later the season, and that AAU season, the first year I took over, it was in the end of the year. So the next year it started, then I started getting calls from Jim Harris Jr. and Sonny Vaccaro and George Raveling. So Nike started, they wanted us to wear their gear. And then all of a sudden, when I started talking to them, I used to go home and I had boxes and boxes of gear on my porch and in my yard. Now I'm living in the hood now, and I'm coming home with all these boxes in my yard. Now, if I was somebody else, them guys would have took them boxes out of that yard.
Right. They weren't taking it out of your yard.
No. Yeah, but they weren't going to do that. That wasn't happening. So I had a conversation with I was courted real heavy. I was courted. They offered me so much. And as as of the day, I send Sonny Vaccaro scriptures every morning. And he respond back to me every day. Hey, man, we still talk.
Wow.
But it came down to, I had told Jim Harris Jr., because he was at Reebok, I was like, and I always ask the kids, I was like, what do y'all want to wear? So, the kids don't want Nike.
Of course.
They don't want Reebok, that's for sure.
So it was funny. It was like, Coach, we'll wear this when we get playing ball in the gym, but we're not wearing this on the circuit.
That's so true.
It came down to Sonny and Ravlin. And Sonny was never in the conversation, but he had people. And it was beginning to be Nike camp and ABCD camp. And I got a call from some people, and they were from Sonny's camp. And they was like, man, we'll never ever, if you say this out loud, we're gonna deny it. And he was like, if you bring your kids to ABCD camp, you'll walk out of New Jersey with $1 million in cash.
What year is this? This is 90s, right?
Yes, it's in the 90s. And
damn.
The next day, Ravlin called me and flew me out to Indianapolis. That's where Nike camp was.
Mm-hmm.
And we sit there and we talk. True story. He sit down and he started saying, Piggie, this is my first year coming to Nike. I need to put Nike back on the map. If you help me out, man, we'll take care of you and everything. And this guy got on his knees and cried. Now, I'm not prejudiced, but to see a black man like that getting on his knees crying, knowing that he needs you, I turned $1 million down.
Damn.
To go to Nike to help him out. And that was one of the worst decisions I ever made. Because Sonny was always loyal to his people, Ravlin wasn't.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, my kids wanted to wear Jumpman, and it was just us and Riverside was wearing Jumpman at that time. So they gave me all the gear that I wanted, travel anytime I wanted to travel. They gave me everything that I needed. And I decided to go with Rav than Sonny. And I'm going to tell you how good Sonny is today. Me and Sonny still talk today. And he don't never hold that against me. But that hurt me, man, because I thought Ravlin was going to be loyal to me. Rest his soul. Rest in peace. But he wasn't loyal to me.
Is that you think that's one of the, I think you've been quoted say you don't have a lot of regret on how, like, is that one of the biggest regrets?
That was in AAU, that was the biggest regret.
Yeah.
That was my biggest regret.
Just because, I mean, kind of laid it out, just because you thought George was a certain way, it was going to be this way, or was it, I'm assuming it, I mean, $1 million is a lot of money back then, and that could do a lot of things, but is it because you just maybe had blinders on, you didn't see it?
I didn't see it. I'm new in the game.
Yeah.
I'm new in the game. I'm up here trying to be loyal to and again, I'm not prejudiced, but I see a black man trying to raise something, a black educated man trying to do something. And when you get on and you start crying, and I mean, he actually got on his knees crying and begged me.
Yeah, it's hard to turn that down.
Then he's like, I give all your kids all the gear you want. I give you $50,000 a year. Soon you bring the kids. Nike flew in, gave me a $50,000 check. Every summer they gave me a $50,000 check. And then I had all the gear I want. All the kids never ever, I had enough gear to clothe 20 organizations in Kansas City.
And it was being safely stored in your yard because nobody was going to touch it.
No, but it was in my garage. No, well, nobody gonna touch it.
No one's going to touch it.
No, nobody gonna touch it. And it came to the point where I would come home and my wife was like, "Myron, what is?" She got mad because we looked like we was in a junkyard or something.
You opening up a store?
Yes, but I regretted that because you never heard nothing bad about Sonny taking care of his people. And then even me and the Pump Brothers that got together and we talked back then, and I was thinking about really doing it, but Rab, my biggest regret was with Rab was my kids was important to me. And I had the number 1, number 2, and number 3 kid in the country. At that time, Rab was telling me that, and Trace McGrady had just came out. So Nike didn't have no high school kid coming out. At that time, then they was like, well, Corleone gonna come out of high school. So I transferred Corleone out of Wichita East, and I put him in Hargrave Military Academy. And him and my son went there. So my understanding was that Corleone was going to be Nike's number 1 guy. And they was going to give me a $3 or $4 million shoe endorsement. And he was going to be okay. But to come to find out that Rab was just blowing smoke on my ass.
So one thing I want
to kid Corleone.
Right.
Corleone could have went to college.
Yeah.
And Corleone was more suited to go to college than Jerron Rush. Because Jerron Rush should have been the one that came out.
And
that's a whole different story.
Of him going to college instead of coming out.
Yes.
And so that's the other thing. It's like, you're not just simply coaching kids on the court, right? You mentioned what you're doing behind closed doors, trying to make sure that kids have stuff to come home to, but also you're and Matt and I were talking about this off the air. It's like the level of skill with some of the kids that you're coaching, their lives are being decided. Some of these kids do have pro ability. So you're having those conversations with these guys about college or at the time going pro, and how much did these young kids kind of rely on you? Because I feel like you still talk to Sonny. We even mentioned Shea Cotton hit you up not that long ago. I feel like your loyalty is why, and people are still talking to you to this day. So it all connects.
My kids was like my sons. Like they was my son. I treated my kids like I treated my son. Me and Jerron Corleone, we still had the best relationship ever. It was important to me. I wasn't going to make the decision for the kid. I was going to put the kid in the position to go where he wanted to go, because it wasn't me that had to live on the college campus.
Right.
It was going to be them. I had all the offers from big time coaches. I could have took assistant coach's job. And honestly, if my kids would have went to KU, I would have been a millionaire today. And by not one of them kids touched KU, that's when the target got on my back.
College football not feeling as juicy as it once did? Let me put you onto something that'll shake up your Saturday and every other day of the week. Because now that Wendy's has crispy chicken tendies and a powerhouse lineup of new sauces, it's time you transfer to the hottest team in the league.
That's right. Team Tendies. Wendy's Tendies. They're making their undeniable rookie season one for the books. Enjoy first-string flavor from some 5-star recruits. Rep your new favorite team everywhere you go, but make sure to cheer with your mouth closed. Take it to the end zone of savory sauces like honey barbecue, creamy ranch, and the new Wendy's signature sauce to experience a total taste bud blitz of flavor. It's time to join a team that won't upset you with an upset.
Taste the phenom that's gracing the gridiron with its juicy, crispy, and tendery tendencies. Don't fumble the bag, commit to Team Tendies, and call the most delicious plays in the playbook. All right, let's huddle up.
All right, tendies on three. Tendies on three. Ready?
1, 2, 3. Tendies.
Tendies. Let's do this.
Wendy's chicken tendies now at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Guys, Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and that means a few things. Turkey, football, and everybody you went to high school with back home for one day ending up at the same bar.
Yeah, that's where Twisted Tea comes into the equation. If you're going to survive all that, you need something that goes down a little easier.
Twisted Tea is a refreshing hard iced tea with that 5% kick that tastes like real brewed tea because, well, it is.
There's no carbonation, just smooth flavor that is way too easy to drink. It's perfect for Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving, or that 5 minutes you have to step away from all the family madness on the big day.
So this year, when you're put in charge of a side for Thanksgiving celebration, you know what to grab. This episode is brought to you by DraftKings. All your favorite NBA players are back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is the place to bet on NBA stars this season. New customers bet just $5 and get 3 months of NBA League Pass. Plus, score $300 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TB. That's code TB. Bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass. Plus, get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA League Pass auto renews until canceled. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Well, that's the other thing too. While, and I'm reading the book and obviously knowing that you're coming on, I still don't quite understand everything that you, and I'm like air quoting, like got in trouble and went away for. And now you see like so much of this stuff nowadays is, and we'll talk about that in a minute, is not even an issue anymore. I guess I didn't even really follow the connection of, stuff with players being the thing that you got into trouble for,
The NCAA
seems very convoluted. It seems very convoluted.
The NCAA, man, they figured I was getting too big. And they figured they feel like I had too much power.
Mm-hmm.
And when the NCAA seen that, and then I had a history, a street history. So it's easy to target someone like me. But my kids was my kids. They was my sons. I always told my kids, don't take a piece of bubble gum from nobody.
Yeah.
Because that's how much some kids meant to me. And my kids never ever took a piece of bubble gum to nobody. And then all of a sudden it came out to that I was putting $17,000 in a shoebox, giving Jerron $17,000, giving Corleone this and giving Corleone that. I was just taking care of my kids like on the weekends when they wanted to go to a dance or a prom, whatever, $15, $20. That's all. Them kids couldn't handle that kind of money. But when they came after me, I couldn't fight it because of my history.
Right. It's interesting because, there's all these quotes like you were kind of the scapegoat, right, for NCAA, and they came after you and singled you out. And, I lived that with Reggie Bush and USC. I'm sure you're familiar with that whole deal. And I remember, at the time we were on top of the world, we were a dynasty and all these things. And people were sniffing around and Reggie has a story and all those things, and I love, it's my boy, I always support him. But I remember kind of like SC kind of sticking their nose up to the NCAA and saying like, fuck you guys can't come after us, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh yeah, well, we will. And and to this point, and I just feel like there's a lot of parallels with you too, Pig. Just like to this point, I'm just like, man, like whatever Reggie did or didn't do, like the Heisman, all of these things, it was complete bullshit when a lot of kids, a lot of people were just kind of like you, like kind of trying to survive and all this. But like you just said, don't take a piece of bubble gum. Man, I remember all the time, like you couldn't go out to lunch with someone unless you knew him like prior to high school. Like there was this like year like relationship thing. I just found it interesting. There's a lot of parallels with like Reggie was a scapegoat for the NCAA at the time. They made him an example, which I thought was just highly unfair, similar to your situation.
Yeah, and I agree with that because Reggie didn't do nothing that nobody else did, but at the end of the day, I didn't either. It was just about me in Kansas City, taking care of my kids, trying to make sure that when I go home and lay my head down on a soft pillow, I wanted my kids to be able to have the same comfort. And the kids were so important to me. It got to the point where college coaches used to come in town, big name coaches. They could stay at a 5-star hotel and would sleep on my couch. I mean, would sleep on my couch. They would come to my home in the hood and sleep on my couch and hang out with me.
I mean, that's the impact you had. Yeah.
Yeah.
But nobody's NCAA didn't say that was illegal.
Yeah.
I had, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't care what he say. I had Roy Williams. People would call me and say, "Hey, I'm gonna be on the plaza. Is it okay if you and Jerron walk by?" Okay, yeah, we walk by. We did that. I used to take Jerron Rush up to KU every day for 3 times a week to play against Paul Pierce and Jock Von. Was that illegal? The NCAA didn't say nothing about that because it was Roy.
Different rules for different people, right? In that scenario,
Different rules for different people. I mean, I had a chance when I walked to the airport one time and a guy came up and gave me $30,000 cash and said, "Don't look into it until you go home. This is for you."
And you never seen this guy before?
Not ever, but then I found out who he was.
Like bag man, right? Yeah.
And Matt, it come close to your home.
I mean, shit, you could tell me. I mean, I was, yeah.
Yeah, because no, be real. George Rabin was a USC guy.
Yeah.
Jerome Stanley was a USC guy. You know Jerome Stanley, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Keyshawn Johnson's agent.
Oh yeah. Well, Tim Floyd got in trouble at USC.
Me and Tim Floyd had a bad breakup, man.
Did you? Oh, I had nothing but a positive experience with him because I was there for a couple of years with like Nick Young and kind of like that era, and then he got out. But yeah,
he called me one night and said, "If Earl Watson I think he was at Iowa State. Earl Watson don't sign with me. Earl Watson ain't gonna be nobody." I was like, "What the hell you mean he ain't gonna be nobody? He needs to sign with me right now." And then we kind of fell out. So Earl didn't go to Iowa State when he went there.
I've said this story is I remember when I was I don't think I've ever told you this, Jerry. So like I remember I think I was done. So like technically I didn't do anything wrong, but like we were SC, I think it was Tim. We were recruiting OJ Mayo. OJ Mayo was the shit.
The star,
right?
yeah.
He was a star. And I'll never forget I was on I think I was done. So I was getting ready to combine. This was like maybe January, February, whatever. And he was on like a little recruiting trip and I was in a golf cart with him. I think it was his dad and someone else. And they had asked me, they're like, "Hey, we want this kid." And I don't know what other shit happened outside of that, other than I was on the golf cart and I said, "Bro, like you're one and done. You're going to be one and done. Come here. You're in LA. You're going to get whatever the hell you need." And the conversation kind of went like that. I was on a golf cart showing him around campus and all this, and he signed like a month later. He's one and done, and he left, man.
Yeah.
That was my only recruiting story that I had to help USC basketball. But that was when Floyd was there.
Yeah, and Tim Floyd, he did what he had to do, but like I said, the only regret I had with the shoe company was they misled me on Corleone.
Yeah.
And when they misled me on Corleone, that messed up that kid's life. And my whole intentions was never to mess up none of my kids' future. And when Corleone got drafted, I had to fire Jerome Stanley. And then I had to hire the Poston brothers, which at that time, they had Penny Hardaway, and he was the hottest thing in the NBA, Little Penny. And just thank God that the Poston brothers had a relationship with the Detroit Pistons. And that's how Corleone ended up getting drafted.
Yeah.
And then when that indictment came down, Corleone and Jerron didn't have that foundation was gone. So they didn't have nobody that could put that iron fist on them and tell them you need to go to class, you need to get in the gym or whatever. And that's what hurt them.
So what's it like for you now when you see NIL? And I ask Matt all the time, like, because I think a lot of people ask former players, like, I'm sure, Matt, you've been asked a million times, how much money would you have made? Reggie Bush, how much money? Millions, right? But I don't know if anyone's asked someone like you in that, because again, you were about guiding, and now it's, we're seeing college athletes in commercials and ads everywhere, and everyone's making a lot of money. What's your view on it today when you look at the landscape?
I'm glad that it's like that, because by me getting hit back then and they changed all the AAU rules, calling the Piggie rules and stuff now, it's important that the kids get what they got coming. But in my era, Jerron, Corey Maggette, and Earl, and Jerron, and Corleone Young, they would have been millionaires, man.
Millionaires.
Before they even touched the campus.
Yeah.
And it's this NIL, man, it just blew it away. But by me having to go through what I had to go through, they didn't realize something, that LeVar Ball changed a lot of stuff. That's when kids started getting paid.
That's a great point.
Everyone thought he was crazy, but
but they wouldn't mess with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They was able to do me because of my criminal history and who I was. But the NIL now, man, it's just wow. I would have been rich, man. I would have been rich. Me and you wouldn't even be talking today. We'd be talking in a restaurant when I run by. Hey, man, how you doing?
Hey, you and me both, man. We'd be having a steak dinner with some nice wine or tequila. What would be, you've obviously, God, you've seen it all. Going back to the 90s and now, what would be the best advice that you would give these young men and women, all these
young
athletes
millionaires
coming out?
now.
Young millionaires. I'm actually curious, Piggie, because my son is kind of entering the NIL world with the rev share model now, and they're getting paid and all of these things. What would be the best advice that you would give? And now that parents are way more involved as opposed to then, to these young kids.
Well, one thing I will always tell them, that they still have to continue to get in the gym and work out, because you don't have high school kids coming out going to Division I now. Sometimes high school kids got to go to junior college now. That's Division I for a lot of kids because of the NIL. You know what I'm saying? Where the top kids were going to different top universities. If you look at the college rosters now in basketball, you barely will find a freshman on a roster. So what you have to do is you have to continue to work hard. You have to continue to just stay focused. And then the parents gotta really think about their kid. Just because somebody knock on your door and your kid had a good high school, don't take the first money that comes to you. Because once you take that first money and lock yourself in to these agents and all them, you're not going to get out. And then when your kids don't make it, then how do you look your kid in the face and say, it's my fault?
Mm.
I think that kids today just need to be more patient. And I think parents today need to quit trying to live through them kids. Because every kid is not going to make it. And every kid is not going to play college basketball. Every kid is not going to play college football. You're going to have to take a longer route now. You're going to have to go through junior college, and then you still might have to. Then you might have to go to another college before you can get to the big colleges.
Piggy, I want to before we'll wrap this up in a couple minutes. I want to ask you this. I was actually asking Jerry this, or I was telling Jerry this, and I'm curious your take. What separates? Because elite athletes, basketball players are some of the most elite athletes in the world. What separates someone from making it and not, in your opinion? Because we all know talent can only get so far, but you've seen it, and there's such a razor sharp line between, hey, he was great, but he just didn't make it.
What separates that kid today is if his parents get out of the way and let somebody that knows the game just train them and do like old school. When my kids came in the gym, my kids never touched the basketball sometimes for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And there wasn't no parents, they wasn't able to run to the parents and cry. If you really want your kids to make it, to separate it, you'll see the parents who will hand their kids over to somebody know what they're doing and get out of the way from the kid that parents stay in the way. As long as your parents in the way, and I'm not knocking parents because I know they love their kids, but you gotta make that kid today earn everything that he got and everything that he get in that gym one-on-one without them in there watching and without them in there critiquing. Because if it's in their heart, it's gonna be in their heart. You can't make a kid have heart. A kid either born with it or want it. You can't pay for a kid for heart. You can't pay money and say this kid gonna get heart. Either that kid want it or he don't want it. And it's gotta be up to the kid how bad he want it, because some kids will tell their parents, I don't want you there. And I think that's the difference today.
Mm-hmm. Well said, yeah.
So last thing I wanted to ask you too, I also, in addition to reading the book, I read the piece in the Kansas City Star, Toriano Porter. It's a great piece. I encourage everyone to read it too. And he said something very interesting, and I don't even know how someone would go about this, so I don't even know if it's something you have actually walked down that line. But he wrote and basically said his belief is you should receive a pardon because of how laws and rules have changed. Everything is now wide open. Is that something that you've even looked into? Is there any movement on that? Because it left me with the article saying, like, yeah, he should at least look into it, get his day.
First of all, I'll just take a minute. First of all, I want to thank Mike Watson.
Yes.
Who wrote
writer of your book. Yes.
Because Mike Watson sit down and he played for me and my system for, when he was younger. I want to thank Mike Watson because he took time and he investigated everything. Because when we wrote this book, we wanted to make sure that everything was accounted.
Factual, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Factual.
Yep.
And he did his due diligence. And if it wasn't for God putting Mike in my life to write this book, because I've been trying to get this story out for 20-something years. And it come down to, by him writing this book and then Toriano writing that piece.
Piece was great. Yeah, both are great.
It was great. But when it comes down to a pardon or whatever, I feel that only reason they was able to do that because I feel that they gave me a life sentence. And when I say a life sentence, where if you hit me with $350,000 restitution, how would I pay that unless I go back selling dope? And right now today, if it wasn't for Mike Watson writing this book and it's out there, right now they didn't take my Social Security. You know what I'm saying? So if God's will and important come, we'll be grateful. We'll be grateful for it. But I don't sit up here, man. God's in control of my life. I know that I didn't do nothing wrong. And at the end of the day, man, I just gotta live with who I am and what happened. It would be nice to get a pardon, though.
I think God put people like Michael Watson in your life, though, too. So if it does happen, that's definitely part of it.
We're pushing for it, man.
Yeah, and the book is, like I said, I'm halfway through, and I put it down to get the chance to talk to you, and I'm gonna dive right back in. And I encourage everybody again out there, The Hustler That Changed the Game. Go buy it. However, listen to it. However you consume books these days, because it's an unbelievable story in an unbelievable world, and you're still here telling it. And I thank you for the time. And I just thank you for sharing your story. I think it's a very important story.
It's an honor, man. And me and Mike, we really grateful for y'all giving us the opportunity. And push that for us.
Is Mike still here?
Mike's right
Mike,
here.
jump in for a second, Mike.
Yeah.
Sorry, we had you in for a second. We weren't set up to capture both audio.
You good, bro.
This is my dude. I love this dude, man.
You good, bro. You good. It's all good.
My man.
Hey, Mike, I'd like to ask you one thing before we hop off. What inspired you to tell this story and just, the relationship that you and Piggie have? I'd be curious.
Absolutely, man. I think what inspired me was he gave me the opportunity. He put my life on a trajectory by being able to play for his program with my big brothers, Earl Watson, Jerron Rush. Those are guys in Kansas City. Those are heroes and legends. And so I came up a few years after them. And so when I got to play on that national stage, it really put me there from a Division I level. And so what happened, we lived a block apart from each other and didn't know her for 7 years. I had lost contact with him. I went off to play pro for 12 years. And then I came back home to Kansas City and we ran into each other. He was just telling me what he was doing. And I was like, man, how can I help? How can I help get the story out there? We were looking for writers to write it and everything like that. And one day we sit and he's like, Mike, why don't you just try and write it? And I'm like, bruh, that ain't no easy, you know what I mean? But sitting there with them, man, I have over 90 hours of just, audio, talking to him, hearing his stories, man, hearing his heart, hearing his transparency. I wanted to get the story out there to tell the truth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just like Matt, I heard you mention Reggie. It's a lot of, stuff behind the veil of college basketball, high school basketball. But I wanted to make sure his story was told. So that's how I got involved, man. And it just kind of snowballed. And a year later, man, it's where we are.
Well, the book is fantastic. Matt and I were even talking off the air. It's like, this is a movie or a documentary at the very least, in addition to a great book. So we should definitely talk off the air as well, because this, again, I think this is a story that could not only, it's part of the history of how we got to where we are today, but also I think it's a good point for parents and young athletes to hear this in the moment as they're going through their journey too. So respect to you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, Appreciate you, Matt.
Well, respect,
That's
man.
awesome,
we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, appreciate your boys.
And we'll talk again soon. We'll get you back on here soon and we'll keep up with you. All right, Annie Agar joining us courtesy of Twisted Tea. Grab a refreshing Twisted Tea today. Annie, you looking a little holiday spirit.
Yeah.
It's like a Christmassy red.
Guys. Yeah.
You got a glow to you.
Thank you. It's not from the Packers game, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I'm feeling a little holiday-ish today. Must be Thanksgiving.
So we're going to run a little Twisted trivia today.
Yep.
But real quick, guys, is there anything, what are we thankful for this NFL season? And I'll ask you, Andy, because it's definitely not the Packers and the tie. Maybe you are grateful for the tie.
I am grateful for the number 9. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Minnesota fans know all about that. Like 9, maybe the number of interceptions. 9 is in the number of times that he held the ball way too long. It's just a great year for the number 9. I'll just leave it at that.
Is Stafford number 9?
He is, isn't he? Yeah.
So I'm grateful.
That's a good segue.
For Matt Stafford and what we are witnessing with him. And I know this narrative, but like, there's like the last of the Mohicans of kind of my age group. He's younger than me, but Rodgers still playing Flacco. I think we need to take a step back and appreciate and be thankful for the career that Matt Stafford has had. I think he's going to go down as someone just said this, but he's one of the purest passers I've ever seen, I think, of all time. And I think they're the favorite to win the Super Bowl. And it's my hometown team. So
I'm thankful for Shane Bowen, even though he just got fired, because you were able to get me 5 fourth-quarter leads where I actually was like, wow, this team's not... And we still lost and held draft position. I know tanking doesn't exist in football, but boy, are the Giants doing a good impersonation act of tanking.
That might be the question. Like, would you rather have a lead and blow it or just not have the lead at all? So you're taking the positive route. I'd rather have
I'm
the
taking the
lead
positive. Yeah, and Jameis, I mean, I'll live off that touchdown reception. For Matt, could you have done that? Could you have done that?
I mean, he broke...
done that?
No, dude. Are you kidding me? I didn't break any tackles in my career.
All right, last thing before we do Twisted Trivia. I give you guys one insane, stupid thing that Matt rolls his eyes at me every week. So this is that thing I'm giving you.
Okay.
I did not understand why the Bengals would want to bring back Joe Burrow in the sense of like they're out, right? And Matt always said like you play because you're getting paid, and I get it. But then I looked into it, and they're 3 games back, and there actually is a Bengals path. That's probably not going to happen, but it's there. The Ravens play the Bengals, as we know, coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Bengals can get that one, Ravens go Steelers, Bengals again, Patriots, Annie, your Packers, and Steelers again. Steelers go Bills, Ravens, need a little help from the Dolphins, Lions, who will need the game, and the Ravens again, while the Bengals go Ravens, Bills, that's a tough one, Ravens, Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. Is there a Joe Burrow Bengals path to winning that division? They're 3 games back.
That would be wild. Well, that would be crazy.
I think there's a path.
Weren't they were close last year, right? It came down to the Chiefs, that Chiefs game.
They're doing what they do. They're going to
It's asking the same question.
Close.
Do you think the Chiefs are going to make a run?
Yeah, I think that game that they stole. By the way,
too.
a full confession to you guys, and then we're going to do the trivia. And I feel like such an asshole for this. We know I gamble. Down 20-9, and then Mahomes threw that red zone interception. I had a parlay with the Chiefs as the last leg that would have won me a lot of money. I took the buyout.
No.
And then they won. I took the buyout against the Chiefs.
You didn't have faith.
Who does that? I took the buyout against the Chiefs.
Unbelievable.
Let's get to some trivia. What do you got for us today, Annie?
All right, we have a little theme here. Maybe it's the holiday vibe, but we're gonna do a little Thanksgiving theme. So we have 3 questions, 2 pictures, and you'll see how it all ties into Thanksgiving.
Let's hope.
Starting with question number 1: Who had the most career receiving touchdowns in Thanksgiving games?
Calvin Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
Right,
you had to assume
that.
it was something Lions
It
related.
had to be a Lion or a Cowboy. It was either him or
exactly.
like T.O. or something.
Yeah. Okay, next question.
Good one.
Who
Good
has
one.
the most career rushing yards in Thanksgiving games?
Barry Sanders.
Ooh, no, good guess.
Emmett Smith.
Yes.
Let's go!
Wow.
The kid's hot.
But
it's
see,
my
I feel
birthday
like Jerry
week.
would have
Let's
guessed
go.
Barry first if it weren't for.
I also didn't think
Matt's
you'd give
guess.
us 2 Lions in a row.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, question number 3. Who has the most career passing yards in a Thanksgiving game?
In one game? Or
in
two?
Thanksgiving games.
In
the
Thanksgiving
majority of
game
them, yes.
history. Oh, this is a tricky question. I think I know it. Is it Tom Brady?
No.
Damn it.
Tom Brady in Thanksgiving games?
Well, I just figured they put him somewhere in there a lot on Thanksgiving, like they do to Mahomes every. Oh, hope I didn't just give him an answer. Care to
I will
venture
tell
a
you
guess,
that's-
Matt?
On Thanksgiving games?
Thanksgiving games, most career passing yards. It's on theme of what we were talking about.
Stafford.
Yes.
I just didn't think you'd go there. I didn't think we'd go there. I handed you one.
I guarantee Detroit has like all of these.
I went
good and
outside the
bad
box
in all these Thanksgiving games.
All right.
Okay.
2-1.
2 pictures here. They're Thanksgiving themed. The first
boy.
one, who is this player?
Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got it.
I said Avion Bell because I was trying to spit it out.
Okay, this is the tiebreaker here. I think we're 2-2. So last picture, who is this person?
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Wow.
What?
Another
Wow.
I
loss.
can't say it any faster.
Wait, did a Giants
Dude.
person just blow another lead?
Bro,
Oh
Jerry.
my, Jerry.
Oh,
I
Annie,
mean-
you're in your video making zone right now, right?
I am. Can you tell?
I felt like you just put me in one
Jerry,
of your videos
I mean-
right there. Shane Bowen, folks.
Jerry,
Brought to
what
you by
is-
Shane Bowen.
You are so bad at this game. What is wrong with you?
Look, I
You
definitely
shot your
blew
wad
it.
way too early, buddy.
I blew it on Le'Veon Bell, and I said Stephon Diggs as fast as I humanly could have said it. I don't
Clearly
feel
you
bad
didn't.
about that one at all. And I just went Tom Brady because I just did not think you'd hit us with 2 out of 3 Lions. I thought this would be the outside the box question. So
Yep. Threw you
cheers
for a
to
little
you,
loop on
Matt.
that
You could have
one.
let me win on my birthday, bro.
I know.
Wait, today's your birthday?
Not
This
yet, but
week.
we don't know when this comes out. Maybe on my birthday.
Oh, gotcha.
It's,
Okay. Well, happy early birthday.
are you
or
a birthday week person or just like the day?
Kind of just the day.
Good.
Yeah. I'm not like, I like to celebrate it with family and stuff, but I don't go do it like a whole week.
You're not
thing.
like 9 birthday parties and a
No.
dinner and a brunch.
Nope.
Okay.
That's too much. But
Well-
I mean, not just for me. For me personally, I know a lot of my friends that like to do that, and I will partake in the activities if they include alcohol.
But not
for
all
sure.
of them. Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Wow.
Hey,
Props
man,
to
what-
Twisted Tea, everybody.
Just give you another loss for your birthday. What would you expect anything different from me? You wouldn't want me to take it easy on you.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
I want
exactly.
I want nothing but the heat. Well, thank you, Annie. Thank you, Twisted Tea. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everybody out there
appreciate
who
you guys.
listened. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the football. It's a great
Ooh.
slate.
Oh,
Finally, I feel like
great
it's all
weekend.
lined up.
Chiefs
And-
Cowboys is going to be insane.
Chiefs,
So good.
Cowboys.
So good.
I can't believe the Cowboys won. That it's almost like they needed those 2 teams to win to make that game awesome, and now it's all.
Oh,
hyped
yeah.
up.
Yeah, the NFL's happy. The NFL's in a happy place right now with the ratings, I'm sure.
Well, everyone enjoy. Be safe out there. Give a little Twisted Tea if you need it. And,
Hey, I'm thankful for both of you guys. Just
Oh,
Matthew.
we didn't even think to say we're thankful for each other. Wow.
Matthew and
thankful.
Brianne.
look at what we get to do. We
Brienne.
get to do this. Are you kidding me? We get to do this for fun? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. What a great life.
Matt's doing the look at us, guy. He's doing the look at us.
Look
thing.
at us. The meme.
Yeah.
Would you look,
Look at us.
Just look at us.
Just
All
talking
right.
ball.
That's a great bull.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yep.